We've got some new cards we have to go over that have been revealed in the last couple of days. And we are going to start with a trio of Justice Hunters support cards. That is right. In Burst Protocol, Yummy, K9, and Dracotail are each going to receive one support card. And we are going to take a look at which of these are going to be actually good. Of course, before I even read these, because I haven't yet, these cards are they have a lot of potential to be good because the archetypes are already good, but they're also kind of dangerous because some of those archetypes are already pretty meta. So with this, you always have the danger of what's it called, of making the archetype maybe a little bit too powerful. Personally, I'm hoping for a good Dracotail card here. Wouldn't mind a decent Yummy card, even though Yummy is arguably already the strongest out of these archetypes. You know, K9 is more being used as like a splash engine. For K9 is the one I'm the most scared of because K9 is my least favorite out of these archetypes personally. Unless it's a card that really promotes playing pure K9. Once again, I've said this before, but pure K9 is a deck that I think is fine. I don't like when K9 is being used in like other decks. So like I wouldn't mind a strong K9 card that actually has like a lock to K9 or a lock to exceed on it, therefore incentivizing people to play more pure K9 builds. But who knows? We'll see. No need to speculate. The cards are right here. We start with a fusion monster, which is Dracotail Shaurus, a level 6 light dragon fusion effect monster. 2400 attack, 1500 defense, materials, a Dracotail monster, and a monster in your hand. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. You can target 2 Dracotail cards in your graveyard and 1 face-up card on the field of the same type as either of them, monster, spell, or trap. Shuffle all 3 into the deck. If 2 or more monsters are sent to the grave at the same time, special summons card banish with... Okay. Now, I will say, if it's just 1 card for each archetype, which I think is what it is, that, yeah, a trio of support cards, it's not what I was hoping for Dracotail. I think what Dracotail really wanted would have been another spell card, to be honest with you, especially looking at it from the OCG perspective, where they limited K2 Dracotail. Another spell card would have been amazing for Dracotail. And I think something else that would have been really interesting, actually, that I would like to see eventually is a quick play spell for Dracotail. I think a quick play spell would be very interesting for the archetype because it would kind of get around the problem. Like, Dracotail has only 2 good spell cards, which means that on your own turn, your Dracotail effects only have limited impact. And if you give them more spell cards, then all of a sudden the deck might become way too broken and the ceiling might become way too high. But the problem with more trap cards is that they are painfully slow and bad when you draw them. A quick play spell, I think, would be a pretty elegant solution to this, because if you draw it, you can actually use it even when you're going second. But if you set it off of a Dracotail effect, it's still slow and doesn't increase your ceiling in that fashion. So I would be a fan of a Dracotail quick spell. Unfortunately, we get another fusion monster here, which isn't terrible. It solves one problem for Dracotail here, which is the fact that it gives you recycling on something that isn't a trap, which is good. Right? Like, we have a way to shuffle back a trap card after we've been Ghost Spelled or Ash Blossomed on one of them, which obviously helps the deck. I think in some ways this is also kind of boring. Now, hear me out. I actually believe that certain Yu-Gi-Oh decks, I think it's fun when they have a certain weakness. Like, for example, again, playing against Dracotail, I thought it was fun that sometimes it was a realistic win condition to outgrind them by negating one of their trap cards to stop them from shuffling back the other trap card. You can outgrind them in that fashion because they are out of trap cards that recycle each other, right? And this is basically just printing a card that completely invalidates that strategy. You know what I mean? So now Dracotail has infinite recycling no matter what you do to it, basically, which I think is, I mean, good, but I also think it's kind of weird to take away that weakness. It's kind of when they print Marshmallow Yummy, which basically eliminates a weakness from Yummy by giving them a free extender even when they have no monster on the board, or when they make Star Ryzeal, which is taking away the one weakness that Ryzeal had, which was the choke point on Duo Drive. And I personally think these kind of weaknesses are what makes certain decks interesting. And when you print a card that patches the only real weakness that a deck has, I think it, from my perspective, sometimes it makes the dynamics in the game less interesting. It's a solid card. I'm not going to complain about this card because it's not super powerful. It basically just gives the deck infinite recursion. which is something that, let's be real, Dracotail was already a pretty good grind game deck. So just making the deck even better at grinding is not necessarily like terrible for like the game or anything like that. So it's okay. Also, it's very easy for this to recycle trap cards because all you have to do is like target one monster and one trap. And then you shuffle a monster back from your opponent's field and you get the recycling on the trap card for free, basically. It's decent, but it's not like crazy. I don't know if level 6 is something that Dracotail can work with. I think none of the Dracotails are level 6. So you can't really be setting up rank 6 plays that way. Having a third fusion in rotation, I guess, could be nice because it makes it harder to kill Dracotail when they have 3 fusions that can come back out of the grave. Oh, Urgula is level 6, really? Thought it was 7 for some reason. Okay, Urgula is 6. Okay, but how often do you have an Urgula on your board, I guess? Not very often. But I guess you could now. Maybe there's some rank 6 potential here. Oh, Pan is 7, Urgula is 6. Okay, I thought they had the same level for whatever reason, but okay. Yeah, okay. Dracotail card is fine, I guess, especially in the OCG because they have recycling for K2 now. Easier recycling for K2, which is okay. But nothing too crazy. But that's okay. I think Dracotail is already in a pretty fine spot power level wise. It's okay. K9 EX Ripper. All right, more Rippers. Let's go. Rank 9 Wind Beast. Materials, 2 level 9 monsters. You can only use the first and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is special summoned by a K9 spell or trap effect, you can target up to 2 cards in your opponent's grave and or banishment. Shuffle them into the deck. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card, negate that effect, then destroy all cards on the field. Oh my god. Okay. You can only use the first... What you're telling me is that the entire sequence of summoning Ripper, and then searching for forced release, and then negating a hand trap or other monster effect with Ripper, and then ranking it up into Werewolf was not good enough yet. We need another option. And I understand that this is not always better than Werewolf because it destroys all cards on the field. So not only your opponent's cards, but also your own cards. So basically resetting everything. But still, man, monster effect negate and then wipe everything. It seems also like a very good card for going second sometimes because you put this onto the field somehow. And then it's very hard for your opponent to do anything without losing their entire board. So I don't know. I'm certain. I'm definitely biased here because I'm like I said earlier, I don't like K9. However, I'm not sure how much this is going to be used by K9 hybrid decks, which I guess is what I wanted. Like, I feel like this is something that you would... I don't know if it's not always better than Werewolf, and some of the hybrid versions of K9 decks, they don't always play Forced Release. If you don't play Forced Release, you probably won't play this in any K9 hybrids. If you play pure K9, then I think it's fine for you to have this card. It is a generic rank 9, which is worth mentioning. You don't get the first effect, but you do get this effect on a generic rank 9. It is wind, so you can make it in Radiant Typhoon, I guess. They have level 9 monsters. I've been looking into that for Genesis format, and I've been looking for rank 9 wind monsters because you are locked into wind sometimes in Radiant Typhoon. Okay, if I'm looking at this through the lens of a generic card, if they make a generic rank 9 monster that says when a monster effect is activated, detach 2, negate, then destroy all cards on the field, would that be... Is that I mean, it's good. Am I a fan of that design? Because normally I hate hand trap negates because this can just negate hand traps, but then you destroy your own board if you are going first. So it's not actually useful as a hand trap negate, right? And it's also not as good of an end board piece for most decks because it's an end board piece that destroys your own board. This is not at all comparable with Varudras because Varudras does not destroy your own board, right? So in that sense, yes, I think it is more interesting than Varudras for sure. I guess we'll see how this plays out. I'm willing to give this one a chance and not call it badly designed from the start. I think this one's maybe fine. It gives K9 access to Harpy's Featherstorm. No, it's not a winged beast. It is a wind beast, but not a wind-winged beast. This does not enable Featherstorm. And then we have a continuous trap card for Yummy that's called Assist Yummy. You can only use the first of this. You can only use one of the second and third effect per turn, and only once that turn. Once per turn, during the standby phase, you can gain 100 life points, then your opponent pays 100 life points. Okay, random ass effect. During the main phase or your opponent's battle phase, you can send 2 face-up Yummy cards you control to the grave, including this card. Return 1 card from the field or graveyard to the hand. Any card? You can banish this card from your grave, send a Yummy card from your deck to the grave, except assist Yummy. I feel like this one is purposely bad. I don't think there's too much to interpret into this. I feel like with the history of the OCG, I think this card makes a lot of sense recently because Yummy has already been by far the most... It's by far the most represented deck. So I feel like they don't want to give it any crazy support, which I just don't think... I mean, yeah, I understand you. There's ways like to get the continuous trap cards for free in Yummy with Marshmallow, but realistically, like, it's just not worth the brick. It's not worth the brick, and I think they know that when they make these cards, people are not going to play them, even though in theory you can find applications for those cards. It's similar to the... what's the other card called in Doom of Dimensions that isn't Marshmallow? Yum Yum Yummies. Like, Yum Yum Yummies is like, if you get it for free, it's fine, but it's not worth putting into your deck because, you know. Okay, TLDR Dracotail card is okay. Not exactly what I wanted, but okay. K9 card is pretty strong, I feel like, but not necessarily in K9 hybrids, but more so in pure K9 decks or as a generic card, which I think is more interesting than if they made a support card for K9 hybrid stuff. But it is good regardless, and I feel like the Yummy trap is kind of whatever.